All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you once again for your continuous support of the Beltsville Volunteer Fire Department. It's been several months since I've been able to update the community, and this meeting, the main purpose is to just kind of let you know where we are in moving forward with trying to maintain the staffing that we have here, and then give you some examples of other issues that the other fire departments throughout the county are having with the current administration. On September 18th, at our last meeting, the town hall at the Accokeek Volunteer Fire Department was announced to everybody. They did have that meeting on September 18th, and to kind of give you a little overview so that you can see that we are experiencing issues throughout the county. President Glenn Sherman from the Accokeek Volunteer Fire Department is going to give you a brief synopsis of the town hall that they presented a couple weeks ago. If anybody would like the PowerPoint that they presented, there are copies up here.
Margie, thanks for having us. My name is Glenn Sherman. I'm the president of Accokeek Firehouse. I've been president for so long, I forgot how many years it's been. I'm gonna let Catherine go first. She's the chief. I'm gonna let her kind of give you the operation side of it, and I'll follow up with the administrative side of it. But as Margie said, we're having problems throughout the whole county. You're not going to hear anything different. That's happening here in Beltsville. That's also happening down in Accokeek. You're talking quite a distance apart, but the problems are still the problems. So I'll let her speak, and then I'll give you some of the administrative side problems.
Hello, my name is Catherine Lucas. I'm the fire chief of the Accokeek Volunteer Fire Department. So as I said, we had our own town hall meeting in September. Just to it started by our civic association asking us some questions, and they asked us to present to them what our department was and some of the issues that we were having. So we did. To let you all know, we had submitted back in the January timeframe, and mid-January, beginning of February, a couple apparatus requests to Prince George County. One of them was for a tanker, for the Accokeek Volunteer Fire Department to purchase a tanker. If you're not familiar with the Accokeek area, we have a large portion of non-hydrant area. Prince George County has asked us for years, since I was red helmet firefighter, hey, you all need a tanker down here. So we had asked the county about 10 years ago if you all could put a tanker in. They never did. We're currently in a position where we felt we could purchase a tanker, a standalone tanker, not a pumper tanker. So we submitted the request to Prince George County for a tanker. Did not hear anything back. The only answer we got back was that maybe we should consider a pumper tanker. Price tag for that, you're adding on a little over an extra $1 million to that price tag. We figure financially we could afford $600,000 to $700,000 for a tanker. We felt that was a financially prudent move. If you're not familiar with tankers, they don't run that many calls. They would probably make up 1% to 2% of our call volume. And obviously normal fire engines, depending on your call volume, 15 to 20 year service life. A tanker of where we are, I would hope it would be 25 to 30 year service life. So we felt that would be financially acceptable for us, and especially for our community. The county suggested, well, we should look at a pumper tanker. Well, we just got a grant for an engine, so that is what we are pursuing right now. We've already signed the dotted line, so that's in the works. Of course, turnaround time, we all know you're looking at about 3 years or so minimum for a new engine. A pumper tanker, minimum price tag for that, you're looking at about $1.5 million, probably on the low end of it, probably going to be more. Doesn't fit in the firehouse very well, and it does not work, in my opinion, for our community. I may not be an expert on everything, but when it comes to Accokeek, I'm an expert on my community. All of the fire chiefs, the volunteer chiefs in our county, we are experts in our area. We grow up in our area. We are the subject matter experts for our area. So if I tell you what our community needs, I'm telling you from experience. 28 years of service. I've lived there my entire life. I've ridden my bike down the road since I was a little kid. I know what works. I know what doesn't work. So unfortunately, we're kind of being dismissed. We've not gotten any answers back. So that was for a tanker. We asked for an ambulance. We asked to replace our ambulance. Our current ambulance is 2018, working on the hopes of trying to purchase a new ambulance. The hope was purchase a new ambulance, also to keep our old ambulance. Again, if you're not familiar with Accokeek, we're kind of down at the far end of the county. So if one of our unit goes down, we have to go a bit of a distance up to get a reserve unit. So if we could keep our second ambulance as a reserve, both for us and to work with other volunteer stations in the area. I know I've spoken with Marine Fire Rescue about possibly, them using it, or other people who would need to have an ambulance. We all have seen in this county where we run out of ambulances. EMS call volumes are through the roof. Wait times at hospitals are through the roof. You should not have to wait and add in a couple extra hours to turnaround time when a unit goes down to travel to the middle portion of the county to go get a reserve ambulance when you can have one sitting there ready to go when it's needed. Didn't hear anything back on that. The only answer we ever got back was, when you talked about the ambulance, the answer I got was, ambulance billing is a source of contention. That was the answer I got. No approval, no denial. Per the general order, I have 14 days to get an answer. Per the general order, you submit the request for apparatus, the fire chief has 14 days to give you a reply, an approval or denial. Did not get anything. Submit a couple requests asking for updates, did not get anything. After 6 months, when you don't hear anything back, you assume it's already been denied. But again, that is a violation of the general order. We're not getting any answers. So unfortunately, that's where we're at. Information goes one way. We are ordered to follow the general orders. We follow the general orders, but it's a one-way street. So that is the heartburn that we are having. We want to support our communities. I think all the corporations in this county want to support our communities. We do this for free. We're doing it because we want to help our community. We are working fundraising functions. We're applying for grants, all these things to help our community. Only thing we ask is for a little bit of communication back and forth and help us to help you. That's what we want. So I'm going to pass it over to President Sherman.
Yeah, that one statement that the chief just said, we say that all the time. Help us so we can help you. That's our motto, and that's what it's about. The volunteers, that's what they do. They help us so we can help you. So we save this county millions and millions of dollars every year. It's not something that's just been brought up. It's been like this for years. Gotten worse over the years. I think we just celebrated our 102nd convention this year. We've been around for 100 plus years. It's tough to go through what you're going through. That's why we finally said enough's enough. We said let's have this town hall meeting and have a pretty good presence there. We're getting a lot of back feed from the Ackeek Civic Association. They're helping us quite a bit. They understand the concerns that we're having. We've been around for close to 90, I think we're 90-something years we've been around. Never have we had a problem with the funding of the so-called, what they call activity center. Here lately, they decided to cut fundings completely for the activity center, cut the insurance for the activity center, that is designated for a warming shelter and a regular shelter if need be. So questions were asked, why? Again, as the chief said, cricket, no answers. So you guys are having the same problems up here that we're having down there. But believe me, it's not a Beltsville problem. It's not an Ackeek problem. It's a Prince George's County problem. So, and again, hear what the chief said, I'm going to say the same thing. Help us so we can help you. Because if not, the volunteers are going away. This used to be said this was a combination department. It's not a combination department no more. I'm telling you, it's not. They want the volunteers out, but we're not going to go out without a fight. So again, help us so we can help y'all. Thank y'all for having us.
So just for everybody's information, Ackeek is one of the furthest station away from us. And I just invited them up here, one, because they did organize a town hall and had the information ready, but so that you can also see that it's a systemic problem throughout the county that the volunteers are dealing with. It's not just on the north end of the county. So the primary reason for our community meeting was to update where we stand on the placement of the trailers. Back in February, when we had our initial meeting, one of the issues that one of our citizens brought up was if the fire station was unhealthy, why couldn't we put trailers out so that the career staff could stay and be in those trailers while we were trying to mitigate the problems that we may have found? As you all know, from our last meeting, our assessment came back and the air quality within the station, which was the primary concern that they were expressing, The air quality in the firehouse came back that the air quality in the firehouse is better than what the air quality is outside. So we do not have an air quality issue within the station. So the immediate health hazard that they were claiming has been found null and void. The Beltsville Volunteer Fire Department is still trying to work towards a mutual agreement for the placement of the trailers, but we have not been afforded any direct meetings with the county fire chief or the public safety administrator. I have had several meetings with Senator Rosapep and Councilwoman Dernoga in an effort to move forward with this. In those meetings, we have agreed that the previous MOU that was presented to us needed to be separated into two documents, one for the renovation of the station and one for the actual placement of the trailers. The county has admitted that they don't have money for the full renovations recommended by the assessment, nor have we seen any money allocated for the Beltsville Volunteer Fire Department in the upcoming budget plans. I was unable to get an answer as how the county can spend $500,000 to $1 million for the placement of these trailers when they can't even have money to renovate the fire station. Our belief that since the station has been deemed structurally sound and that there are no air quality issues, that the money would be better spent on the renovations of the station rather than spending that much money to place trailers that are supposed to be a temporary placement. We have requested that in order to move forward, that we need exact plans for the placement of the trailers and what, if any, modifications will need to be made to the building across the street. The county wants to place the trailers across the street by the big barn over there. In order to do that, the initial communications that I received from Chief Green was that they wanted to use the barn across the street as the new apparatus bay. So in order to move forward with the placement of the trailers, we want to know what exactly they're going to be doing with our property. So we have not gotten that answer yet. We have also asked them, now that the air quality inside the firehouse has been deemed safe, that they place the trailers to the side of the firehouse here in the parking lot as opposed to across the street from the barn. This will save money, whereas they won't have to pour a concrete pad for the placement of the trailers. They won't have to get the permits or run the water. They won't have to get the permits or run the electric. And they can also just continue to use the engine bays that we have downstairs. We think that that would be a more cost-effective approach. We have not received any information back from the county on that. We have been 100% approved for a $1.5 million grant and are starting with the plans on an elevator for the community hall. Any remaining money from that will be put towards the renovations of this statement, or of this station. However, we have not been able to meet with the county to see what their immediate concerns are. So I have gotten a few concerns from word of mouth, but nothing directly from the fire chief or the public safety director as to what their immediate concerns are so that we can start planning on rectifying those issues first to make this firehouse more acceptable to everybody involved. The staffing in the north end of the county in general. As you know, the staffing was removed from stations 35, which is Greenbelt, 39, which is one of the buoy stations, 14, which is Berlin Heights, and 55. The initial plan from the fire chief was that this was supposed to be temporary. It was supposed to be a summer staffing plan. It was supposed to occur from July through October. However, last week she issued a memo that stated that this was going to be permanent. The personnel that were removed from those stations will not be placed back into those stations. So if you remember back in February when they were talking about our personnel being moved temporarily, that is probably a plan that was not going to happen. She's taken staffing from 4 other stations and that has turned out to be permanent for now, citing that service has not been impacted by these changes. However, now Beltsville is the only station with 24-hour career staffing in this area. 41 has 24-hour staffing. They're a little further north, but there is a hole from Berwyn Heights to Greenbelt to Bowie to Laurel. Because of this, our response area has increased drastically, and it has our crews running outside of Beltsville and the Vansville areas regularly, which then leaves our area without crews available for immediate dispatch. I have talked to leaders from other stations, and they are seeing the same issues where their apparatus is running outside or running a larger response area now because of the crews that are not missing. Unfortunately, volunteers cannot make up the staffing of the career department. Volunteers work primarily during the day, which leaves a lot of times where firehouses don't have staffing in them. Volunteers do not get paid to be here. They have to work to make a living. They are not here 24 hours, 7 days a week. They have to provide for their families. They are not able to immediately fill in for what the career staffing has been doing up until now. I have recently seen a report that there was a house fire in Oxon Hill that had units from Fairfax County and the city of Alexandria dispatched. I'm not certain of the exact circumstances surrounding this particular dispatch, but up until recently, to have units from Fairfax and the city of Alexandria have to respond into the county was very, very unusual. On our end, we do run mutual aid with Montgomery County and Anne Arundel County and Howard County, but we are right on the border with them. That is not an unusual occurrence. But to have companies from Virginia have to come into Oxon Hill and the Forestville area is unusual. You probably have also seen that there were several other incidents that has been reported with unusual responses. On the Beltway, on the inner loop near Route 50, recently there was an accident 5 days ago. An engine from Hyattsville had to be dispatched to there, and an engine from Kentland. The engine from Kentland is not unusual to have them on the Beltway. To have an engine from Hyattsville have to respond all the way to the inner loop of the Beltway near Route 50 is very unusual and a lengthy response. On September 6th, there was an incident at 810 Greenbelt Station Parkway. Engines from College Park, Hyattsville, a Montgomery County unit, which is Hillendale, and Station 841, which is the Calverton station, were the units that were dispatched to the Greenbelt Station Parkway incident. On September 5th, there was an incident at 57th Avenue and Hamilton Street. A working fire dispatch, our truck from Beltsville had to respond all the way into Hyattsville. This is probably because Berwyn Heights, which also has a truck, doesn't have the full staffing that they used to have, and Hyattsville, for I don't know what reason, was unavailable, but our truck had to run all the way down into Hyattsville, which again is a lengthy response. There was an incident here at Lincoln and Baltimore Avenue where we had to have a truck from Berwyn Heights come up. We had a unit from 34. Philadelphia had to come over, and a unit from Hyattsville had to come up here. So you can see that now that we have limited career staffing 24 hours a day, that our units are running longer responses into areas that they normally would not have had to respond into. A memorandum from the city of Greenbelt was sent to the county fire chief recently. They had an incident on September 1st where a 3-year-old was struck by a car. The residents are claiming that there was a 13-minute response for that incident. Our normal responses should be under 8 minutes. The county did refute this and say that they had an engine on the scene within 5 minutes. So that is the report from the county. But the citizens are reporting a longer response time. On September 18th, there was an incident on Garden Way. The response exceeded 8 minutes, and a man who was suffering from anaphylaxis shock perished at that incident. The county says that an ambulance was there under the 8-minute time and that an engine was there in 7 minutes. But again, a citizen died because the units were coming from further away. On September 23rd, there was an incident at Green Ridge, which is a senior housing, and those residents say that there was a 23-minute response. The county says that there was a unit there within 14 minutes, which is still not within the 8-minute time, and those volunteers are now being investigated for the delay. So as you can see, it's an ongoing issue with limited staffing and our firefighters being dispatched to areas that they would have never had to go to before. Now for our apparatus. You've already heard Akiki talk about their apparatus problems. You may have seen that our ambulance that is owned by the Beltsville Volunteer Fire Department is back. It was in an accident in May of 2023. It took us over a year to get it back, and that was because of the vendor, not because of the county. The vendor had problems getting the parts and stuff like that. And again, they are attributing that to the delay because of COVID and because of the Ford strike. However, since we've gotten that back, Chief Adams has been running into difficulty in getting what he needs from the county to put that unit back in service as a second ambulance staffed solely by the volunteers. It would not be in service 24 hours, 7 days a week, but it would be available to provide additional EMS service to this community when the volunteers are at the station. However, because we cannot get that back in service, that additional EMS service cannot be provided to our citizens. We have also requested approval from the county to purchase a second ambulance with our funding, but this was denied, quite similar to the incident that Akiki is dealing with. We were told we don't have the staffing to be able to put on that ambulance. However, up until the accident in May of 2023, we had our ambulance that we owned in our firehouse, and it was staffed by career staff. So if we had the secondary ambulance, much like Akiki, we would have a reserve ambulance to put in service immediately if anything happened to our frontline piece. But again, we cannot get approval from the county for a secondary ambulance that we have offered to purchase with our funding.
Sure they do.
Chief Adams is now going to address everybody.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for coming out tonight. To follow up on President Dickey's latest on apparatus, in regards to the latest on the ambulance issue, indeed we did months ago have a Teams meeting with the Fire Chief and the Volunteer Services Command in regards to requesting the purchase of a second ambulance. We were told that our staffing does not justify here to house the second ambulance. Last I checked, all our volunteer members here have an emergency medical technician's card and can staff the ambulance. Being that they can staff the second ambulance at any given time if they're in the station and staff. Come to find out in the latest news that several other stations have been given opportunities to purchase second and third ambulances in this county under the volunteer corporations through the county fire chief. With the same reason being that they have limited staffing as well and or worse staffing than Beltsville. It comes to our attention that whether it be a targeting issue or depending on how she feels, you know, who has any idea what's going on with that. In regards to the rest of our apparatus here, the latest on our volunteer ambulance is that the county is looking for the secondary equipment to switch over to our volunteer ambulance. As it stands right now, our volunteer ambulance is sitting across the street. It'll actually be ready to go into service in the next 2 weeks. if we can get the equipment from the county to put back on the county reserve downstairs, being that that equipment belongs to our volunteer corporation. I've had mixed communications with county officials stating that the funding is limited through the county for the equipment, and or they don't have the money for it, or they're trying to find the money for the equipment. So that's the latest I have on that issue. So depending on when we can get that equipment moved over from one to the other, that'll dictate when we can actually put the unit into service. And give it be, we have the staffing here. I mean, we all know that volunteers put in their time, and we all have day jobs, and we all come in the afternoons when we can and put in our time. There's no reason why we can't have a second ambulance at this station to provide additional services for this side of the county. It came down to where she wanted her justified staffing to go to the north side to Laurel. She didn't get what she wanted, so we got penalized for it. Like it or not, that's my opinion. Whether something comes of it, so be it. That's all I got. Thank you guys very much for coming out tonight.
I spoke to one other station regarding our meeting tonight to see if they wanted to address the body here, and that is the Silver Hill Volunteer Fire Department. I don't know if you've been keeping up on that, but they have entered into a lawsuit with Prince George's County over issues that they are dealing with. They declined to speak, but have said that their attorney would be able to say anything that needed to be said.
Good evening, everyone. First, I want to apologize for being late. I got caught in traffic on the Beltway. So when I get caught in traffic, think about what happens when an ambulance or a fire truck gets caught in traffic. They threw me 10 minutes late, so it's reasonable around here these days. If you don't know who I am, I find it hard to believe, but my name is Tanya Sweat. I represent the Prince George's County Volunteer Fire and Rescue Association and about 1/3 of the volunteer fire departments in this county, including Beltsville Volunteer Fire Department. I will add to the stations that have had difficulties with their apparatus, also Allentown Road Volunteer Fire Department. I was just with them Monday a week ago. They were doing inventory of their ambulance because they're trying to put their ambulance back in service. The majority of the personnel at Allentown Road are career personnel, but they have literally taken all of the supplies from the volunteer fire department's ambulance to use it on the county's ambulance. So Allentown Road cannot even use its own ambulance as backup in the southern part of the county because their ambulance is also not supplied appropriately. So we're working with that issue at a number of volunteer fire departments. As it relates to Silver Hill Volunteer Fire Department, Silver Hill was sued in March of April of 2023 by a career firefighter. The lawsuit should have never happened. And I can say that because there is a collective bargaining agreement that addresses the issues that Silver Hill was having with the career firefighter at their station. And Silver Hill, through its fire chief, as well as through its administrative board of directors, asked the county fire chief to reassign that person to another station. Instead of reassigning the gentleman, the county fire chief drug Silver Hill through the preliminary process described under the collective bargaining agreement and then refused to reassign the gentleman. According to the CBA, if the fire chief refuses or decides not to reassign or transfer a career member of the force at the request of a volunteer fire department, the fire chief is supposed to file a grievance under the collective bargaining agreement and then allow the grieving decision maker, the arbitrator, the mediator, whoever is hired under that grievance process to make the final decision. Fire chief would not do that. And so After a meeting in December and communications in January by the fire chief saying she was not going to reassign the career personnel, he then sued the fire department for defamation of his character. In essence, what we call in general terms slander. There was no defamation in the case. There was no slander. And Silver Hill Volunteer Fire Department had to basically employ my services for months to prove it through investigating and questioning witnesses, collecting evidence. And y'all, I have to be honest with you, I ain't cheap. I've been doing this for 27 years. So my hourly rate is quite expensive. Now, I will tell you, because of general liability insurance, Silver Hill was able to use that to pay my fee, but that should have never been the case. Last week, the gentleman decided to settle. After I showed proof that his case was not sustainable in court, he decided to settle. So the case is now settled, in essence, for his legal fees, and the insurance company has to pay my legal fee, but we still have an issue pending. Because Silver Hill did file a cross-claim against the county, because that young man works for the county of Prince George's. So under vicarious liability or respondeat superior, yes, Silver Hill then sued the county. So we still have to deal with that issue, and we have a trial date set in March. And I will tell you, the county fire chief will be called to testify, because I have evidence that says she was involved in discussions and knew that the union intended to sue the volunteer fire department before the lawsuit was filed. That's not good. That's the leadership we have in this county. And I've not said anything about that evidence until now. But I will speak on it now. But I have the documents in my office. And I do intend to present them in front of a jury, in front of a judge. Unless the county wants to pay for the damage caused to the fire station on Old Silver Hill Road. Yes, the career firefighters damaged the roof that allowed water to run into the building. So now the ceilings and the walls were damaged, and Silver Hill had to pay 6 figures to get it fixed. Career firefighters, because they did not follow procedures and use spotters, when backing apparatus into the building, struck the building with an ambulance and a fire engine. So Silver Hill, who owns that building now on Old Silver Hill Road, needs to hire an engineer to make sure their building is still stable. Because when the building's been struck 2 or 3 times by a piece of apparatus, you have no idea what that has done to the foundation and to the structure of the building. Silver Hill has other damages to the tune of their fire chief being called a clown and a hobbyist in writing. And yes, the county fire chief is aware of this. There's a code of conduct issued by the fire chief that says that should not be done, but it was done. We still need to deal with those types of issues. And employers, supervisors, have a responsibility to ensure that their employees follow the rules. I hate to have to do it, but my job is to advocate on behalf of my clients to get justice. And sometimes the only way you get justice is to make people write a check. So now that's costing the taxpayers more money because the county refuses to require its employees to follow the rules and do what's right. That's the kind of stuff we have to think about as taxpayers. And for those in the room who say it's political, because y'all know who I am and you know what I did, that's an absolute lie. This is not political. This is the law. I've practiced it for 27 years. I sued people on behalf of the United States Air Force, defended the United States Air Force when our employees didn't do what they were supposed to do. I defended the United States government when employees didn't do what they were supposed to do. I have sued, since leaving civil service, the United States government when employers, the largest employer in this nation, the United States government, does not do what it's supposed to do. And yes, I've made a pretty penny doing it. So this ain't political. I'm doing my job. And I will continue to do my job on behalf of my clients and indirectly the citizens of Prince George's County until we, damn it, get it right.
So that's where we stand as far as the MOU and the placement of our trailers and keeping the career staff who are still here. We are hoping that we can continue to work towards an MOU to continue to have them still here. We are hoping that the county will come up with some financially prudent resolutions in order for us to do that. And we are hoping that we can continue to provide the service that the citizens of Beltsville, Vansville, and surrounding communities deserve from the fire department. Now, is there any questions that anybody has with regards to the information that was shared this evening? Yes, Ms. Karen.
Actually, Tom, I have questions for you to ask the council members. Why are we spending money on a building? Why are we even proposing to spend money on a building that has no health hazards, that has no liability issues within the building? Why are we even having a conversation about spending money to install trailers that are not needed? And then to be told that the county doesn't have the money to deal with the maintenance, because the county is responsible for maintaining this building. So the maintenance items that came up in the assessment report were and are delayed maintenance items that the county has not taken care of. So why are we proposing to spend between $500 and $1 million to put trailers in wherever? That's question number one. Question number two, and I'll need you guys to back me up on this. My understanding is the greatest number of calls are for ambulances in this area. And so,
Every area.
Well, I was getting to that. You took the punchline out. So again, why are we denying because I'm fairly confident that most of the volunteer stations can staff the ambulances, especially since probably, again, I'm not an expert, but probably most of the ambulance calls are after hours, in the evenings, and on weekends. So why are we denying this? And why is it that other stations are being allowed to operate and purchase the second ambulance, and we are not?
You think I know the answer?
I want you to get us the answer. You are representing this community, and this community is being denied services. And there's our lives at stake, and I happen to care deeply about the lives of the people in this community. And I also have concerns about wasting money when we don't have money to waste.
I would say those are great questions, and if you can if someone can get the answer, it's far from me to get the answer to those questions, because I'd ask those kind of questions. I'm going to ask for backup from Margie. If you could name 3 council members who fought more for the volunteers over the last 20 years, I hope I'd be on that list.
Yeah, but you've been there longer than most.
But I've been outnumbered with council members who don't have the same interest in seeing the volunteers supported.
We have many council members that don't even know what the volunteers do.
No, I realize
Yeah.
that, but this is our council member.
Yes.
Yeah, but trying to get information, you've heard from the folks here, trying to get information out of the fire department or out of the county executive's office is incredibly difficult. And when you do sit down and talk with them, you get the runaround, and you can't get solid answers. So I've been very vocal for years. I've been very vocal about this. Last year, as chair, I forced the fire department to sit down with the volunteers. We had several meetings that had never happened before. We put everybody in the same room, career volunteers, fire department, and we got a few things done, but now I'm no longer chair. That was a 1-year thing. And in terms of your first question, why are we fixing this building? Well, my recollection was they just wanted to take the career people out of this building, and then they said it'd be temporary, and maybe they'd come back, maybe they wouldn't. The fire chief is of the opinion that this building needs to be renovated. Now, I've fought with every fire chief except Eugene Jones since I've been on the council. And I've fought with them on behalf of volunteers. So I don't have good answers for you. I mean, this is what I beat my head against the wall all the time. With the county administration, whether it was Wayne Curry or Angela Austin, not Wayne Curry, but Wayne Curry soon. Jack Johnson or Angela Brooks, particularly with the fire. You know, I've been fighting, Laurel Volunteer Rescue Squad, you know about their building. They've been up for a building for 40 years. So when I was in office the last time, I had them up on the list to be next. In 2007, the fiscal crisis came, that went away. So I got Ben Barnes and Jim Rosapep, your representatives, to support me 2 years ago to get that building on the list. And it's now been removed off the list. The county, the more complicated answer, the county has fiscal constraints. Now we have a AAA bond rating, which the county doesn't want to lose, but they've been spending a lot of money, very well, very good, on schools. And because of that, if you look at the CIP, the capital improvement budget for this upcoming fiscal year, all the new fire stations, the renovated fire stations have been moved out. Oxon Hill, Laurel, and I forget the other one was third. And the amount of money that's set aside for renovations for the entire county is like $4 million, which is insane. When it comes to, what can the council do apart from advocate? It takes 6 votes to change the budget, but then when the county executive veto, it takes 8 votes. It's lucky you get 6 votes to actually go against any county executive. It's rarely ever happened because people are afraid of the county executive, whoever the county executive today is. But trying to get 8 votes to override a veto to force stuff through doesn't happen. So all I can do is go down there, every week and fight for the things that we need. But if you don't have support of the majority or supermajority of the council, you're not going to be able to get it done. This is one of the reasons we've turned to the delegates and senators to try to get some pressure from them. Jim Rosapep's been working very hard on this. But I'm not. What was your second question?
Well, let me go back to the first question, because again, why aren't you and Jim telling the county, look, there is no need for the trailers, so why are we even having a conversation about the trailers and installing the trailers when there is no need for the trailers? Why are we flushing money down the toilet to put trailers up that are not needed? To quote you, we don't have money, so why are we flushing $500 to $1 million down the toilet to install trailers?
Once again, great question. So you have Barry Stanton, Deputy CAO, and you have the fire chief saying that this needs to happen. The county executive, we legislate, they execute the executive branch. This is what they say they believe has to be done, and we can disagree with it, but we don't make those decisions. It's as simple as that.
What I also find fascinating is that the media is not covering any of this. And any other time, I happen to know you're an expert at getting things in the news when things need to be in the news.
So Karen, you're right. In essence, they're going to spend $500,000 to $1 million to place trailers that are supposed to be a temporary fix, but we don't have any definitive date of when the construction or the remodeling will take place. So I don't know how long these trailers will even be in place.
All I can say is thank God the election's 25, 30 days away. Maybe we can get media coverage after the election. For the inexcusable waste of our taxpayer money. Once the election's over, maybe the truth can come out.
Well, my feeling is when the election's over, you're going to find the career folks taken away from this nation. Because that's been implied in the meetings that we've had with Barry Stanton.
So she'll strip the entire northern part of the county, which is, and this is the only bastion that's still at. I mean, for those of you who are there is from College Park up to the city of Laurel to the Howard County line, there is a huge vacuum of emptiness in these stations, and this is inexcusable.
And Councilman Denoga is correct. It was implied to me that if we did not come up with, if we would not come up with a mutual agreement, a memorandum of understanding to have the trailers placed, that they would pull the career staff from here. That's why we're working with Councilman Denoga and Senator Rosapep to try to make this happen.
Yeah, I want to make it clear, it's not. Senator Rosapep and I are backing the Beltsville Volunteer Fire Department. We're not in bed with the chief or anything, but there are a lot of things that go on in the county government that I find fascinating. And there's only so much you can do. I'm one of the irritants of the council. Okay, and I'm constantly trying to push on these issues, especially wasting money. They waste tons of money. They're wasting money on a new high school in Philadelphia. We can disagree with that, on that to a degree. Not that they shouldn't build a school, but they're building a school twice the size they need. And then they have no money left over to build High Point that you want to build.
I'm not here to talk about High Point tonight, that's another
Yeah,
day.
but you're talking about wasting money, and I'm pointing out that the county is very good at wasting money.
So I have a question for you, Councilman Bernard. Are you going on record saying that as of the election, that they have threatened to pull the staffing from this after they said they would not?
That's
That's what you said.
I did not say that. I said
They
they
threaten to pull it if we
implied.
don't come up with.
They imply that at some point in the future, they don't reach an agreement with Beltsville that they may have to pull the firefighters and come up with a different approach. My personal opinion is, if you read tea leaves, the best time to do that would be right around the election or thereafter. Just, I've been around politics long enough to know that you don't make that move before the election. So if you don't do it before the election, if they're going to do it, that would make sense in terms of timing. But they didn't threaten, but they basically said, we got to do something or else we need another plan.
Well,
And you
but
can
that
read
is
it any way-
threatening.
You can read that any way you want.
But that is threatening. At the end of the day, that is threatening. If you don't do what we ask you, even though we know it's not correct, then we're going to pull your staffing, which we told you we weren't going to do. So that is threatening our community. When you've already pulled Greenbelt, Bowie, Bunker Hill, Berwyn Heights, Laurel can't staff it, that's threatening.
As you said.
No, not as I say. As you said, it is.
Take my word, which I think Marty's sticking with too. They implied it, so you could read between the lines.
They did say that if we did not come up with a mutual agreement that was acceptable to both parties, that they would eventually be pulling the staffing from the Beltsville Volunteer Fire Department.
Well, once again, what are we agreeing on? This is where the board stands with the department.
Yeah.
What are we agreeing on?
We're agreeing
What are
on
the
having the
problems?
placement of the trailers here so that the staff could be in the trailers for an undetermined amount of time because they don't have the money to do the renovations. So
But what are the problems in the station? That's what they don't, we have not met with the county since when?
the county has not met with us since after the second meeting we had in March.
Exactly.
All of my communications have been through Senator Rosapep and Councilman Dranoga.
No one has said anything to us in reference to, this is why the station's unsafe, or this is what has to be done.
But that's just it. I have read that assessment front to back. There are no safety hazards in this building. There are no health hazards in this building. There is reference in the assessment that it is not ADA compliant. What's not in that assessment, what is not mentioned is the fact that because of the age of this building, it does not have to be ADA compliant. And where the career and volunteer firefighters work, that doesn't have to be ADA compliant because as an uneducated, educated person, you cannot be a firefighter or an or an ambulance person if you require ADA compliance. So why, I come back to, why are we flushing $500 to $1 million down the toilet?
And Margie, I do want to bring up one point that you talked about. Correct us if we're wrong. Chief Green refuses to talk to you and will only go through our representatives and will not talk to the station at all, correct?
I have not had a meeting with Chief Green. I have gone through, I had a meeting one time with Senator Rosapep and Mr. Stanton. And after that, all of my communications have gone through Senator Rosapep and Councilman Dranoga. I have not had a meeting with the county. It's been a going back and forth thing. We have not been able to sit down and actually express the concerns that we have about not knowing what they're gonna do, among other things.
Tom, I have another question for you.
I knew that.
Because I saw that original MOU. So, that original MOU was a blatant land grab. And for those of you who are not aware, what that original MOU said was that if the volunteer organization here folds in 8 years, 10 years, whatever, if they fold, Prince George's County would get volunteers' assets. It didn't say, oh, you need to reimburse us for installing trailers. No, the county would get all of the volunteers' assets. So that one to me was a land grab, pure and simple.
That is one of the issues on our last meeting that I had with the senator and the councilman, that the board of directors from the Beltsville Volunteer Fire Department has 100% refused to sign any document that has that clause in it, and they have removed that to submit to the county
Okay.
for approval.
But to me, the volunteer, the volunteers are offering others, options. Put it over here where you don't have to spend, it would be a fraction of the cost to put trailers on the parking lot. They're moving, the county is not. And if you and Jim are supposed to be negotiating, and I still say we don't need the trailers, so.
So the question was what?
What kind of negotiation are you guys doing? Because the only thing I'm hearing moving is that the volunteers are trying to bend, and the county is doing nothing.
I think what's fair to say is the MOU, Ms. Sweat was highly critical of it, and I was asked to look at the MOU, and I ended up agreeing with Ms. Sweat on about 90% of her comments.
Well, I will tell you, I sent it to delegates Joseph Lee Penny Melnick and Ben Barnes, who were attorneys, and my comment to them was, would you ever advise a client to sign this agreement that is a blatant land and asset robbery, highway robbery?
And you asked for a response in writing?
No, I didn't. I knew they weren't. It didn't matter because trust me, no attorney would ever advise a client to sign that egregious document.
Yeah, I may be wrong on this point because I was not involved in the conversation, but I asked that Ben Barnes look at it. My recollection is Senator Rosepep said that he found the document very flawed. But that's third hand, so I don't know whether he reviewed it or not. There's so many things wrong with that document. There's so many. And this is where we got a little bit spun around. The county has insisted on certain provisions that really don't make any sense, frankly. And the biggest problem is that, and I think Marcia said this earlier, this, looking at the way they want to look at it, the county, there's the property over there with the trailers and the property that could be renovated, but they combine both items in the same document in a way that doesn't make any sense. So provisions that might make sense for dealing with renovations make no sense dealing with putting the trailers in. It's a hodgepodge. So I drafted up something that the senator, he's been the one dealing directly with Barry Stanton, the deputy CAO, so that we can get Beltsville on board with what we submit back to Barry Stanton. And Jim is looking to have a meeting with Barry Stanton sometime in the near future, at least to address the trailer issue. But that sort of begs the question, why are we doing the trailers? But as far as I know, that's what the chief still wants. Or maybe they don't want any trailers and they're just looking to kill time and then they can move the career folks out anyway.
You just ain't got her in the mail. Have they even bought the trailers?
Yes.
Yes.
Whatever.
Yes, they wasted money.
Where are they? The biggest question we have is, what are the issues? What are the issues? Why do we need the trailers? What has to be renovated?
I'll just say this. You go back to the early part of the year, the fire department said this building was unsafe and everybody had to get out right away.
But no one ever left.
No one ever left. Then they got a study, and their view of the study is different than your view. They still think that the study demonstrates that they need to put people in trailers, move them out, renovate the building. That's still their view as far as I know.
Tom, I'm sorry, I have read that document.
Yeah, what's in the study?
The document does not say, it said, there is no health hazard. And the maintenance or whatever items you want to call them, they are actually deferred maintenance items that the county has been responsible and has not maintained this building in a timely fashion. There is nothing critical in that document that needs to be fixed today, tomorrow, or, so. I need
There is
every-
nothing critical in that document. There are some issues because this firehouse is old and it was built a long time ago. There are issues that we believe we could rectify if we were immediately told what those issues were. We have funding from a grant, we have other funding, we have people that are able to do construction here where we could mitigate some of the concerns that the county may have. However, we've not gotten anything directly from the county to tell us what those issues are, so we know where to start addressing their concerns. In addition to that, some of our funding has been held up. The county has an ambulance billing where the volunteers get money from the county based on whether they own their own ambulance, whether they staff their own ambulance, whether they maintain their own ambulance. For, I think it's been almost a year now. The county's claim is that the company that deals with the third-party vendor that deals with that has had some kind of computer issues or whatever, and the money that we normally would get from ambulance billing has not been made available to us. And that is countywide, not just Beltsville.
Good evening. Before I make any comment, I just want to be on the record. My comments are as a citizen of Bowie, a 37-year volunteer, but also as a previous consultant, professional engineer to the Beltsville Volunteer Fire Department. Councilman Noga, a couple items with respect to the trailers and that discussion. I agree with all the comments. There's no need for the trailers because there's nothing wrong with the building. One of the items where it's been the suggestion to put the trailers across the street, the fire department cannot place the trailers across the street because there's been a planning decision through mandatory referral. That building is not a habitable building. It was designed specifically, I'm the one that designed it, it's for storage only. It is not built for any habitable use whatsoever. Mandatory referral also identifies it as a storage building. It cannot act as a fire station. It was specifically designed for storage only. The county council, turning and operating as district council, has the right and the authority over land use activities. What is being proposed across the street is a land use activity where district council can step in and say no. Now, on that property across the street, but that land use activity is one that is of record through mandatory referral. It cannot be used for what the county fire chief is trying to do. They have acknowledged it because we've told them that the logistics group in the county fire department is well aware that mandatory referral exists on there now, and they can't place trailers over there without extensive renovation to that building. In turn, you'd essentially have to build a brand new fire station across the street to actually place that. You would have to go through mandatory approval. As you're well aware, that is a zoning action. And to deal with and to try and accomplish what they're trying to do, when it's been pointed out several times by their own document, there's no need to even place the trailers because this building has been found suitable to serve for fire and EMS services. The only ADA issue that exists is for the general public to get up to the second floor, which is right here. Use of this second floor has nothing to do with the delivery of fire and EMS services, especially by, or specifically by the county personnel, let alone the Beltsville volunteer members. So the discussion about ADA has no realm or any discussion whatsoever with respect to the use and delivery of EMS services. So that's one thing that where the county fire chief is saying that it's a reason. It is a non-reason. The only place that if they wanted to put trailers, and again, I haven't seen anything that warrants the placement of trailers, but would be on the parking lot to the right. That's the only place that you could put trailers. And again, why spend the money on trailers when there's clearly no need for trailers? That's all I have.
And I just want to add legally, because I had the opportunity to talk to the Maryland National Capital Parking Planning Commission regarding that mandatory referral. There's no need for the district council to say no, because they've already said no. In order to put those trailers over there, the process would have to start all over again, and the district council would have to change their no to a yes. And in order to change the no to a yes, there are some conditions that have to be met. And the county fire chief has not yet explained through council or any other way that I'm aware of how those conditions can be met to get to a yes, to put the building, the trailers over there. So the no is a no. It's already on record.
Tom. First thing I want to say, thank you for coming. And it shows that you do have some character and you do care that you're here. The only question is, where's all your counter partners at?
I'm sorry, what?
Where's the rest of your team at? Where's the rest of the elected officials at? Why aren't they here? Why don't they come to these meetings?
I think they've come in the past. They've got there's a function tonight that I think most of them are at.
Well, we had one, not one showed up.
They've been here for prior meetings, and Rosechuck's working directly on this matter. So I can't really speak for them. I know they had another event. I made sure that I showed up.
I understand that, and what my point is, we have these meetings, and we just don't have these meetings in 24 hours. We put these meetings out months and months and months. Greater Advocate Association is a partner of us to help try to get some answers. They have a lot of pull down in our area. Here, Beltsville is looking at some pull from the county council people. Unfortunately, I've been to every one of their meetings. You've been here pretty much every one. But there's other officials that have been elected into that position that seem that they, and I'm looking at it as my words, that they don't care. We've been here over 100 years. We're not going away. We're going to keep going at it until we spend our last dollar. I'm going to tell you that right now. We just want some answers. And hopefully you can help get us those answers. But that's just what I just want to say. Thank you for coming, but hopefully we get more support from other people, such as the chief, your county executive.
I'll just repeat what I said earlier. I've fought with every fire chief since I've been on the council, going back to 2002. The only one I didn't fight with was Eugene Jones. And my experience has been that the county council members I serve with is usually 2 or 3 at a time who support volunteers. And let's be blunt, I'm on camera. The most powerful union in the county, by and large, is the professional firefighters union. They make big contributions to every elected official. They show up and they work the polls. They worked them against me in 2018. It didn't work, but they were against me in 2018 because they did not want me back because I was on behalf of volunteers. They work the polls. They knock doors. They show up at events. You know, the volunteers over the years have tried to get political, but being volunteers and having lives and other stuff going on, they have not been as engaged in the politics as the career folks. Nothing against the career folks. I mean, they're damn successful with what they do.
Also, as nonprofit organizations, we're limited in what we're allowed to do politically.
As a group, the association, the county association can do more. But I'm not criticizing folks. I'm just saying there's politics out here. And the professional folks are very good at working politics. They've done it for a long, long time. And that makes it difficult for me to find friends who are willing to push. You know, it's very hard. I've given you guys lots of advice over the years. I've said, why don't you do a charter change? You all want the volunteer commission back, you can change that charter, put it up there.
We were very close, we were short about 300.
Yes,
With
there
that
are
one.
things that you guys can do, but
Of
it
the
takes
10,000.
energy and time. But I think I'm gonna say this, the elected officials who represent this area are very strong behind Beltsville Volunteer Fire Department. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And no offense, you're from Acton. I love Acton. I'm not sure who's the president down there at GACA, but I know Mike and Judy Leventhal, Kelly Cannon, and Marcia Cannon, passed away. So, up here, I think we've had good support, but I'm on the county council. You know, we used to have nine members. If I could get 3 or 4 support volunteers, that'd be a good week, good year. Now we got 11 members. Once again, it hadn't changed. If I could get 3 or 4 people. I will say that there's council members who are getting frustrated right now because their town hall, like you just said, over in Greenbelt, Berwyn Heights, Bowie, there's been a lot of anger from folks who are upset about what's going on. And I know those council members are taking more of an interest in the matter, but we still don't have a majority. Yeah, I'm not sure. Well, I'll say this. I've been an advocate for all kinds of people fighting county and state government for 40 years. I mean, that's what I'm here. Bottom line. I've always said, you don't have to do politics, but politics is going to do you. And you guys are getting dumb. That's just the way it is. You don't have to live by the sword to die by the sword. There's going to be a county executive election very likely in a month. Think about that. If Ms. Alston-Brooks wins the state senate, the U.S. Senate, which she's supposed to do, there will be either an appointment of a new county executive or there will be an election of a new county executive. And that election, if it occurs, will start at the end of November. So if you're not happy with the way things are right now, you might want to think about what's coming next. If you have an interest in who's running and what's happening. I'll tell you this, I'm not running. I'm not looking for any votes, but that's reality. Okay, if you're not satisfied and you think somebody else is going to do a better job, you need to educate yourself. Get your communities, whether it's Acton or Beltsville, behind somebody that you believe in and that's going to work for you. So that's my political speech for the night.
So, ladies and gentlemen, the bottom line is we need to keep having these town hall meetings in our different communities. We need to continue to rely on your support. The best way that you can help us is to contact your elected officials. Let them know that you are unhappy with the information that you have been receiving. Let them know that you are unhappy that you're not getting the fire and EMS service that you are entitled to within this county. I know that if you're watching me on Beltsville News live stream, I know that Rick has posted the contact information in the past, and I'm sure he will cut and paste and post that again.
Oh, that's a lot of
so
work,
that you
Margie.
have
That's a lot of
all
work.
that information. But we are very grateful for your continued support. We thank our communities for continuously being with us and supporting us. And we ask that you contact your elected officials and let them know that you are supporting the Beltsville Volunteer Fire Department. And with that, I will close unless anybody else has a question.
I don't have a question. I was going to ask a question of y'all. When you talk about communications, are these written communications you're having with, who do you CC?
I have actually had Zoom meetings with Senator Rosapep and Councilman Dermota, but normally the communication that we get from the county is via email. There is very rarely a telephone call.
Now, I'm looking for written communications where you can carbon copy the governor and other people. I worked on the Hill for a long time, and I worked with federal agencies, and the most effective way to get them to do something was to make sure you CC the right person. Because when they see that CC, they go, oh, I got to respond to this.
Ma'am, unfortunately, that didn't work. Silver Hill did a lot of CCing and they got sued. So be
For
careful.
CCing?
Yes, ma'am. Be careful. Yes.
Wow.
Yes, I just wanted to address you guys tonight briefly. I am from the Green Ridge House in Greenbelt, Maryland, where if anybody doesn't know what it is, it's a 101 building there in Greenbelt. It's been there since 1979, and it houses, under the HUD program, elderly, handicapped, and disabled. And when it happened to our building, allegedly, we had the wrong amount of time that the ambulance got there. Supposedly it was 14 and a half minutes, but when the situation happened at the Greenridge House, the incident that caused it, it came out as an automatic fire alarm. So one would think fire alarm that they needed to get there as quickly as possible. There was some miscommunication as to the engine being sent out. It came from West Langham Hills, which is up on 450. They were supposed to come with speeding lights and sirens. They did not. They took their time, which I don't know where that miscommunication happened. But we have tonight here also our city manager and council member here that is fighting for us, because we truly need our career guys. We lost 24. Stations didn't lose that much, but Greenbelt lost that much. And to hear Margie say they're not coming back, that's disheartening. That is so disheartening that a woman in caliber of being a fire chief would allow this to happen to a community that has many, many residents. Something has to be done. We reached out to the news review. It got put in the news review. Allegedly, it said 23 minutes, but I'm understanding there was another call that came after it that was for someone who had an emergency, and that's the call that took 23 minutes. I don't know why, but anyway, this is not fair to us, to our communities, such as Berwyn Heights, such as any community. Their strain is there on all of these other ones that try to come. We have a fire in Greenbelt, and 14 has to come and put out the fire. We got a fire engine that's no more than 3 minutes away. It's really sad. It is truly sad, and something has to be done. We've contacted people to get in touch with Hogan, with Ossobrook. We had her come through, briefly, we had her come through our city, because it's a political year, and brought her train of people in our parade that we do every year in Greenbelt on Labor Day. And the one girl came over and wanted to shake my hand, and Angela came over and shook my hand. I know her through Wayne Curry, because we went to high school together. But lo and behold, she ended up, somebody came to her and said, somebody's got a problem with you here. And she came directly to the person, I will not name her, and she went to go take her hand, and she would not take her hand. She said, you need to fight for Greenbelt Fire Department and get these people back. So we know she's running for office, and this might not be political, but it might be political. So I'm just telling you that I really hope something can be done through people sending their letters, their concerns to anybody that can help Prince George's County volunteer. They volunteer for their life for this county. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Again, I'd like to thank everybody that has come out tonight personally, and to those, no one more? Okay.
I just want to say, as a citizen, I've been around firefighters my whole life, my family, friends, everything, which is why I'm passionate about this. But as a citizen who's not in the fire department, first I'd like to apologize if there's hardly any citizens here supporting you guys, with you guys supporting us all the time. It's very disturbing when more people are here. But is there anything other than writing letters that we as citizens can do to help? Like anything?
Talk to anybody that you know that might be interested in becoming a volunteer. We will try to get them through the volunteer application process. Again, that is something else that the current administration has made a difficult process. We are losing volunteers regularly to Howard County, Anne Arundel County, and Charles County because their processes are much easier. But if they want to come, we will take every volunteer we can get. All right, Chief Sumner from Bladensburg.
Good evening. I will probably get a phone call tomorrow for this, but it is what it is. I'm not sure you guys realize the service gap is in the area. So I am from Bladensburg. I will tell you on any given day, there are between 8 and 10 stations out of service in this county. I can tell you in the past week, Bladensburg, Brentwood, Berwyn Heights, Greenville, Riverdale, Riverdale Heights, Laurel, Laurel Rescue, all out of service at the same time. And Branchville. No, yeah, Branchville. Also give you credit for the ambulance, for Branchville. That is a huge area. The idea to fix that, the county uses what's called a live bomb system. So they pull units from other areas of the county to backfill these areas. So for Bladensburg, they bring up Chapel Oaks. Now you have a service gap in that area. Why? Because 38 is going to be out of service, 17 is out of service. Big area is covered. You come up here to the Laurel area, oh, we're going to move 48. We're going to move to Station 10. Now you have that end of West Lanham, wide open, because you don't have 13. Everybody remember a couple of years ago, that Gilman Street fire. Big, huge deal, because 48 wasn't in service. Now they're moving apparatus, leaving void spaces. That's the answer. That's the propaganda they're selling. Oh, we have units. We have the live bomb. We move units to cover other areas. Well, yeah, that's great. You're covering here, but you're forgetting about over here. That is the reality of it. I mean, my station went 16 years without being out of service. COVID hit, went downhill. We struggled. 100% volunteer station. 2004, we gave up our career people. Said, take them back. We can do it. Now we struggle every day. If I can get an ambulance in service, I'm jumping up and down. I'm happy. I've explained to the county, hey, we need a unit in 13's area, which is Riverdale Heights. Put somebody at 13's firehouse. 13's leadership has said, we will take them. County won't do it. That is a very busy area. 64th Avenue, all down by the Parkway, very large apartment complexes. Very big area. They won't cover it. West Lanham Hill Station 28, out of service 70% of the time. They're in service 70%. That 30% they're not, the Landover Hills Fire Department has to cover that area, which leaves my area wide open, leaves their area wide open. Everybody is stretched thin. They talk about, oh, we're going to hire 150 firefighters. That's great. The part they're leaving out, it's going to take 4 years of hiring 150 firefighters to balance out. Because for every 100 or 150 they hire, you have 80 retiring. They're leaving that part of the equation out. So it's running around saying, oh, we're going to hire this, we're going to do this. That's great. Finish the sentence. Oh, in 4 years it'll balance out. So just thought you guys should know that.
All right, again, thank you to everybody that came out. Thank you to everybody that is watching live online. I will continue to keep you updated as much as I can as we make progress with the station. And hopefully we will continue to have your support as we move forward through this.